Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast, Fueling the Tank, and I am your host, Jeff Peterson. And today I have a guest that, I'm not going to lie, this has taken it feels like 17 tries to try to get him on this podcast, because whether it was my schedule, his schedule, who knows what, but sometimes the best is always worth the wait. So with me today, I've got Edward Hobart, a buddy of mine from back in high school I've kept my eye on. We've stayed in touch. We've gone through some stuff, and we've kept in contact. But he is right now the VP of Customer Experience. But I want to find out what that means. And, honestly, he was doing this long before it was even, let's just say, on trend, air quotes, the whole customer experience side of things. And I want to hear about that. But honestly, first, I want to welcome him to the show and then find out a little bit about what he was doing way back when we were buddies. So, Eddie, welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a lot of energy to be bringing on my West Coast 8 o'clock in the morning time. I don't know if I can match that, but I'll do my best.
I had a couple extra hours to get hyped up for this. And like I said, 17 tries of trying to get this to work. I've just been, it's just pent up energy. Just want to let it go. So
let's fuel the tank, my man.
Let's do it. All right. Maybe I should empty some of my tank out. I'm a little too hyped. So here's the thing. There's some stuff that I know about you, but there's a whole lot of stuff I don't know. And a little bit of it, for my own personal, journey of figuring you out, I want to go all the way back. Where did you grow up and go to grade school? Because I know where you went to high school. You went to Loyola Academy, the academy, if you will, Wilmette, Illinois, where we both went and graduated together. But where did you grow up and go to grade school? I can't remember.
So I split my grade school time. I spent kindergarten through 5th grade in Park Ridge, Illinois.
Okay.
And that's when I got to Loyola. I knew all the Park Ridge guys when I got there because I had played soccer with them until I was about 10 years old. And then we moved to Libertyville, up closer to where you are today. And so I commuted from Libertyville down to Loyola, but spent the rest of my
That's a
time up in
drive,
Libertyville.
dude.
It is. And you know what? It taught me one important thing. And for people listening, this is like I'm getting on good stuff really early here.
Well, I'll let you know if it's good stuff. Don't hype your own good stuff.
Always live 5 minutes away from where you work. Never live more than 5 minutes away from where you work.
That's good stuff.
You save so much more time in your life. Like I have so much more time in my life to be able to focus on things I need to focus on. And I have, because of that commute and the subsequent commutes during college from Libertyville down into the city to work during the summers, I have never lived more than 5 minutes from where I work. And it
fantastic.
has been a blessing.
It's funny because you bring this up at a time when I was driving for 12 years, 50 minutes to and from work every single day. Now, I get it. I was one of the owners of the company and all that kind of stuff. So, it is what it is. You just do it and you deal. However, now I live 5.5 minutes away from the office, and it is factually a life-changing situation.
It is.
It's crazy. I sat there I joke around with my business partner. I'd be like, you know how much more I work every single year than you? It's like months. It felt like months if you just added it up. He's like, well, you could move. I'm like, they don't want to move. I wanted to live where I wanted to live. But great point. Do that. Pay attention to the radius. Pay attention to your radius, people. It matters.
It does matter.
So when you went to the academy and you started kind of making that haul, what did you start to realize about yourself going to an all-guy private high school that you kind of look back on and either love the fact that you went through it or like, damn it, that public school is looking pretty attractive as I get into my 50s?
So I love the private school. I'm going to need to move here because I actually stole someone else's office. So I'm going to move right next door. Oh, I think maybe I'm getting time. But I love the private school aspect. Like I embraced it from day one. The hardest thing for me, and this wasn't really learning about well, it was learning about myself. The hardest thing for me is all you guys or most of the people there, I had a really long commute, a longer commute than most people. Yep. Most of the people there were in cliques and had friendships that dated back to their grade school. And so I was kind of thrown into this situation where everybody had these pre-made friendships, and I had the guys on the soccer team. But for those first 2 years, before I could drive, like my life changed when I could drive, and when I
Right.
could go down and like go down to Wilmette, go down to Glenview, go down to the city, go wherever to hang out with people on the
Right.
weekends or after work and stuff like that. But those first 2 years were really isolating, and I wasn't really part of the private school to a certain degree. I wasn't really part of the public school in Libertyville to a certain degree. I was in
Right.
this weird place, and what I learned for me, and it was a good thing, is it just doesn't matter, man. You need to make an effort. You need to make an effort to maintain relationships. And you guys, there might have been, I say you guys, I shouldn't say it like that, but people might have had cliques and pre-made friendships, but ultimately, if I would have known this back then, or I would have known it more, I would have made even more of an effort just to enter into those relationships in a stronger way. But it was just tough. How old are you? Like 14 years old and trying to figure this shit out?
Yeah,
Like,
you're not
it's not
gonna.
easy.
It's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. But what a great insight and reflection back on it, because when you've got people that are gonna watch this or listen to it, however they want to digest it, it is one of those things where you kind of look back, and I think it plays true in today's world. With as much as social media is available to connect with people, and let's face it, social media is a big factor into how we've gotten back in touch and stayed connected. It wasn't through like keeping writing letters to each other or having each other's phone number. It was social media that got us reconnected and has kind of allowed us to grow into a friendship that we didn't even have back in high school.
Yeah,
So
we knew each other, but we weren't buddies. We weren't close
right.
friends. And I mean, quite honestly, you're 100% right. It was because of social media, and quite frankly, because of either circumstance, coincidence, but quite frankly, the effort you made. That when you were in New York and I was working in New Jersey, and you just said, "Hey, I'm in New York. Like, I've got some time. Let's get together." And but it's that type of thing.
That's exactly what I was getting at. I love the fact that you even remember that situation, because that that was not that's really not a trait that I would say I'm strong at. But for whatever reason, the friendship that we've grown into was because, for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put that effort out. I'm going to like let them know. And it wasn't like it was some kind of massive effort. I was gonna be there. You were
But you were on a
there.
business trip. You had other things to do, and you carved out time, and I carved out time on a whatever that was, a Saturday afternoon. We
Yeah.
had lunch, and it's been awesome, since then. Like that was the beginning of like a relationship, truly.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think what you're kind of getting to is, when, even though you didn't necessarily know it, it is work. It is an effort. It is an extra step to maintain a friendship, earn a friendship, start a friendship. And I think so much, even at ages that we're at now, it's still that level of effort that you have to do. You're not going to just coast through life and everybody's just going to surround you in a supportive fashion and elevate you and be there for you when you're having a rough time, or be there to pat you on the back when you had a great day. It's still personal effort and drive to do it. So all the way back when you were driving from Libertyville for high school every single day for those 2 years, the fact that you were doing that, even when you were feeling like isolated to the point where you could have bailed. You could have bailed on the whole concept and say, you know what? I'm just going to go to Libertyville. Everybody's here. I'll get to know all these friends and I'll be able to have a lot more of my time back. And I'll tell you right now, back then you were realizing how much time was being eaten up by that commute. I mean, that you knew that. And for you to bring it up now is kind of important, because it's still relevant at our ages. Every age is an effort to make that step with somebody or a company.
Absolutely. And the thing you hit on too is, in my opinion, one of the important things you just hit on is, not all of us are extroverts.
Right.
A lot of us are closet introverts. And speaking for myself, and a lot of us would love to isolate, and to not have to have these interactions. And with the advent of social media and stuff like that, it's a whole lot. And with the pandemic and remote work and stuff like that, it's a whole lot easier to do that stuff. And so learning how to cope with that, with that tendency to be introverted, that tendency to close yourself off. It takes even more effort for those types of personalities and those types of people. But I mean, quite honestly, to be successful and to be mentally healthy, quite frankly, you need to self-reflect, understand yourself, and make adjustments accordingly.
Yeah, nothing ever. It's cliche to say it, but nothing's given to you. It's going to be a lot of work, but the more work you put into anything, the better it is. I mean, there you have the Jeff Peterson cliche moment of the podcast. But
Awesome.
when you were playing soccer, you were really, really good. You were an extreme booter and amazing at soccer. And I remember you because of how good you were at soccer and following the team, because there were a few of you that were just really, really, really good. And I had never paid attention to a lot of the other teams and stuff like that, just because, I didn't have a lot of knowledge. But when you guys started to excel, really kind of made me realize the time and the effort that you guys were putting into being good. What did that time of soccer? Because did you play select soccer and summer soccer as well, or what was that
Oh yeah.
journey and what
Yeah.
did that teach you as far as who you are today?
Yeah, so I played. I started playing when I was 5. I remember the exact moment I fell in love with soccer. I gave up other sports when I was, I don't know, like maybe 12 or something like that.
What other sports
Um,
did you play?
Basketball, baseball. At that point, pretty typical sports. I couldn't. I would have loved to play football, but it conflicted with, it was a fall sport. It
Yep.
conflicted. But yeah, I played through high school. I played through college. I played semi-professionally, both in and after college, and I had a bunch of professional offers as well, but that I turned down because at that point you couldn't actually make any money. I made more
Right.
money like going and getting a real
Such a
job.
bu- such a bummer when you're looking at where it is today
Oh
on
yeah,
what
I
it
wish.
could what it could. Oh, that would
I
have been
wish.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been fantastic. But well, those high school teams, one of the things that was so cool about that team, and it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it right now, is how close we were together. So we hung out together on the weekends during the summers. Like we all went to our own select teams, our club teams, whatever, during the summers. But we would make an effort, not every weekend, but multiple weekends during the summer to get together and go play with each other and
Yep.
have these little games that we played and stuff like that. And on the weekends, we would be we would be going to parties together. We would be doing whatever, and we truly just bonded and loved each other. And we had some really good players, and we were a really good team. I mean, we could have, without a doubt, could have won the state championship that year. It didn't work out, but we were one of the top teams. I mean, we were ranked number 2 or number 3 in the state
Yep.
after a couple weeks, and it was because we loved each other and we played for each other. And that was, I mean, that's ultimately, I think that's part of what we're here talking about, is like translating that type of situation into life and into business. Like, how do you do that? Because that's not, it's one thing to do in high school when you're goofs and you have no responsibility and
Yep.
you're drinking beers on the weekend and stuff like that. But how do you get something that resembles that into your work environment, into your leadership styles, things along those lines? So
Well,
those
and,
are the
and you
things.
you brought up goosebumps when you started to talk about it. And part of what I love about doing these types of podcasts and stuff and hearing people's journeys is because I don't think we think about those moments enough in our life. The moments that kind of elevated us or drove us in a direction, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't think we think back on some of the things that got us to where we are today, because that was the recipe for what we're sitting in and doing, and whether we like it or don't like it. And to come to an understanding of what it was and what you loved, what gave you goosebumps, and understanding, just like what you just said, is like, how do I find in today's business world, my life as it sits right now, what am I going to do that's going to give me goosebumps 5 years from now when I look back on something that I did, or who I did something with, or what job I did, or just an event? Because I think that's so important in our lives, is trying to find those goosebump moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, quite frankly, I feel like I'm going through one of those goosebump moments right now in my career, and we can talk about that later. But like, I feel like I'm in it right now. And I feel like when I do look back, like this is, I mean, in every aspect of my life, this is unequivocally like the best period in my life, hands down. And it just feels for me, it feels like a lifetime of work culminating into something really fucking cool.
And that's what's key. And because if we go back and I talk about this all the time. I self-assess all the time, probably way too much to an OCD level. And I think maybe I probably do it too much to the point where it doesn't mean as much and I can't get as much out of it. But I think when you're talking about it, you're probably doing it in a healthy way in the sense that you're looking back on times that you really enjoyed about your life. You're looking at challenges that you had in your life, and you're piecing it all together to where you feel so comfortable in your own skin right now, so comfortable with what you're doing, so comfortable in the level that you're at as far as and I always kind of judge myself, am I in a position that somebody would benefit from me mentoring them? And I kind of like go that direction only because I want to be something that I can help somebody take their next steps. It's always what I've tried and wanted to be because I've had so many coaches, so many people that have come in and out of my life that have done that for me. I just find it's not that pay it back or pay it forward kind of concept. It's just I just want to be what they still matter to me. My little league coach, I mean, both of them have passed, and those were the hardest 2 days that I've had of people that have been in my life that have passed away. They meant so much to me, and I was 10, 11, and 12 years old, and I just wanna be I think that's cool, I
Yeah,
wanna be that.
it's interesting that you brought up mentorship because we have a mentorship program here at Arcules that I've just started, and I'm mentoring someone, and it was he came to me asking me a couple weeks ago. This just started, and this is one of the reasons. Like, I feel like I'm in the right place. It's like you just said it, or at least the way it translated for me is like get to a point where you can be valuable to someone else. And he asked me this question about imposter syndrome. He's a new manager, a new lead, and you know, and he has trouble delegating. He's like, I don't feel like I deserve to delegate to people. Like, I don't know
Uh-huh,
why I
okay.
should be telling people. And he's like, I just have this imposter syndrome that I don't belong where I am right now. And like I sat back, I considered it. I didn't tell it to him in the moment, but then I messaged him later saying, look, like when you can't believe in yourself, when you don't believe in yourself, sit back and think, remember, you believe in your manager, the person who put you in that place. You trust them, you believe in them.
Yep.
And remember, they believe in you. They put you in
Yes.
that position. And if you trust them, then you should be able to trust yourself. And so when you can't believe in yourself, believe in the person who put you there, who had that belief in you. And when that came out of my mouth, I'm like,
100%.
holy shit, like that's actually something useful for people.
Right. It really is. I'm sitting here going 100% right, and I've never said that to anybody, but that's exactly like when you just said that, I'm like 100% couldn't agree with it more. Perfectly stated. Because as we go through it now, and I just had a video that I just posted. Well, I probably will post this week on LinkedIn, and it comes to leadership. I was asked to speak about leadership at a conference, right? Doing that in May, and management. There is a difference between being a good manager and being a good leader. Not all managers are good leaders. They could be managing the workflow, the tasks, the individuals to make sure they're staying on task and getting things accomplished. But are they leading at the same time in the sense that they've got a group of people that are following them because they're bought into where that manager is, where they want to take a company or a project or where it's going. There is a difference between management and leadership, and that kind of hit me the other day when I was trying to over the weekend. I was trying to figure out, okay, for this leadership, conference, what am I going to say that's not cliche that people might have not heard yet that kind of hits everybody. Because one of the things I always say is, who in this room thinks they've got the skill sets to be a great leader? Everybody raises their hand. And I'm just sitting there. I always look out in the room like, you're like, no. I mean, not a chance. So it's great that you said that because it hits so true. It hits so true.
Well, and the other thing I told them is you need to remember, like all of us have that, like every single one of us. So our CEO here at Arcules, he was put into the CEO position a couple years ago, and he's a relatively young guy, super bright, super energetic, very talented. And I told this guy, I'm like, if you think Andreas didn't have those same feelings, like, do I belong here? Am I supposed to be here? Like you're
We
that's
all
not
do.
realistic. Of course he had them. And
Yeah.
I shared that with Andreas, and Andreas is like, oh hell yeah. Yeah, of
Right.
course I felt that way. Like I felt like I wasn't sure if I was good enough to be here. And he is good enough to be here, and probably most of us are, good enough to be where we're supposed to where we are because someone put us there for a reason.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the things that, if you were to look back at your journey to getting where you were, what was the place that you most felt like didn't fit you? Not, you don't have to say the company. I don't want to, sit there and but what was that role that you're just like, this doesn't fit? I'm forcing this. This isn't me, and I want to be more authentic with my career. Because when you talk about saying, I'm in a perfect place, this is where what I was meant to be doing, that also means you were in imperfect roles. And why do you think they felt like they didn't fit for you?
So, okay, I'm gonna digress here, and this may take a little bit, but I'm
That's
gonna
fine.
try and wrap it up quickly.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like most of my roles were imperfect fits, and I feel like I'm gonna get deep here, Jeff. Like,
Do it.
I think for me, you mentioned soccer, and between soccer and academics, there were a lot of things that came really easy to me in life. And subsequently, I've had a lot of time to self-assess and self-reflect.
Yep.
Subsequently, I skipped a lot of steps in life. Like I never had to try out for a team. I skipped a lot of steps in life. And in my first, not my first role, the first company I was with, I was named CEO when I was, I don't know, 29, 30 years old, something like that. And like I skipped some more steps there. Like I didn't take all the steps that I should take to get there. And subsequently, I wasn't prepared for it. And so one of the things, and part of why I was there, quite frankly, was my own fault. It was because I'm super competitive, I'm super driven, and I
You
push
wanted
and
to
I
be you
push.
wanted to be CEO.
Exactly, exactly. And that's exactly it. I wanted it, and I wanted what I wanted, quite frankly.
Yep,
I
yep.
wanted what I wanted. And what I've learned over the course of time is, and this is just honestly a recent learning, and it's embarrassing to say this in front of a bunch of people in front of you that it's a recent learning. Um, but I've learned over the course of the last several years that life, career, personal, professional, whatever it may be, is a lot better if, for me, maybe not for everyone, but if instead of wanting something, instead of trying to attain certain goals, just putting my head down, putting one foot in front of the other, and just grinding it out every single day. Cause that's what I've realized. I'm a grinder, and that's what I do. And if I just don't look at the goal in front of me. Don't look at what's in front of me. Don't even worry about it. Just do every single day one step in front of another and let the outcomes be whatever the outcomes are going to be. Those outcomes generally turn out to be fantastic outcomes and probably better than I would have, much better than I would have planned for myself and much better than I would have wanted. So ultimately, what I've learned is in that skipping the steps, I miss the journey and I miss the
Yeah.
beauty of the journey, the beauty of the process. And for me today, that's what I really enjoy is kind of soaking in and enjoying the process, enjoying getting there and not worrying about where I'm going. Like, I don't care where this journey goes to. I don't care what role it leads to. I don't care what it leads to. I'm just enjoying the journey and just doing that step after step, day after day. And every once in a while, I look behind me and I'm like, oh my God, like I've come a long way. This is
Yeah.
fantastic. And I look up and I'm like, whatever that is, that's a long way away. And I don't care.
Well, that's a fantastic way of looking at it because I always talk about Eddie. You're really helping me in my own journey here of this Fueling the Tank podcast because I talk about wanting to hear the journey of my guests. The fact of the matter is, and I hope people hear this on this podcast. The fact of the matter is, there's not just one smooth journey or one direction of a journey. In fact, there can be journeys that you give up on and start a new journey as you're going through it. And it doesn't matter when you start a journey, but I do think it's important to know that you're on one and to know what it takes for getting to that next step. But I do love the fact that you're in this you're creating a journey where you've changed the rules of it in the sense that you're saying, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, the way I know I can do it, and what I think is best for everybody that's part of this, that it's in a support role or a lead role in this journey of mine. But I'm going to do it to the next level because that's the way I grind through it. And I'm going to keep my eyes open, head on a swivel, and whatever it comes from it comes from it. And I think that that's important because I think so many people set the almost like the okay, if I go to school and graduate with this, and then I go get my master's, and then I go get my doctorate, and then I go get this job, and then that'll allow me to get this job. And they start doing all the highlights and the awards or the accolade aspect or the career titles, along the way. They miss so much of what could be or should be along the
You
way.
miss the beauty of it, my man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that you mentioned authentic self and
Yeah.
leading authentically, essentially. That's my journey to authenticity is, not worrying about the goal, just worrying about one foot in front of the other. And that's quite frankly led to seriously like a much more serene world for me. Like I'm not worried about the goal that's in front of me. I'm just worried about what's directly in front of me today and looking forward down a little bit, down the road a little bit, looking at a roadmap. But that's allowed me to let go of all my preconceptions of where I need to be, where I want to be, what I want, and just allowed me just to be me. And
And
it's a very liberating place to
it
be.
lets you put the failures from past journeys and keep them in their place. You don't forget past
I
failures.
love my failures, Jeff. I
Yeah,
love them. I
yeah, it's
absolutely
not a big
embrace them
deal.
all.
We all fail. We all suck at something. We all like misstep. We all stumble. But it's not like we have to like suppress it and pretend it didn't happen. But it's not, we also don't have to allow it to drag us backwards or down. It was that journey. It mattered because you went on it and you learned stuff from it. And then you redirected and started a new journey because that journey happened. Let's face it, if you don't stop a bad journey, you can't start a new one that takes you to great places.
Look, I completely reinvented my career and reinvented myself, and I shouldn't even say reinvented. I repurposed myself like 8 years ago, and completely, maybe it was 9 years ago, whatever it was, completely switched directions. And it's that looking at the failures, taking them for what they are, and embracing them. Like I am absolutely willing to publicly embrace my failures because it got me to that place that I described earlier, which feels like this culmination that's turning into something really cool.
If you sit there and you look at all these people that are out there on social media and they're hyping up all the successes and kind of acting like they're always on a pedestal, telling people how they should be and how they should do this, and if you do this, if you do that, and that's the stuff that kind of gets me. I'm just like, man, there's so many people that are buying into this because they were successful, so I'm going to do it like they did it, and that's going to make me successful. And it takes so much out of their originality of who they are. And I think, the fact that you've kind of found what you would consider the perfect fit for you right now, man, if you just grabbed onto somebody telling you, do it this way, do it that way, there's so much of who you are right now that would have never happened.
No, I mean, I honestly, as you say that, I sit here and feel like none of it would have happened. Like I would have been in
Right.
a different place, a different person, and in all likelihood, I would have, if not miserable, I certainly would have been less content than I am today. So
Well, and you're in a situation right now, and I want to find out a little bit of you're living out of two places right now with this current career because this role brought you to Well, I don't know if this role did, but the previous role and then to this role got you into California. but you were Bozeman, Montana. Like, what the hell got you to Montana? Like, Montana's not a state. Like, if you gave me a map, like, I'll get kind of where Montana is. You know, I'm that kid. I went to I went to Loyola Academy. Not the proudest moment for Loyola right now. Hearing Peterson say, "I don't know exactly where Montana is. I know it's up over there." You know, but how many people in this country have ever been to Montana? And you like live there. Like, and what were you doing? Like, how did that even happen?
Got it. It just
I mean, I know
it's
you like trout fishing, but
well,
but Jesus,
I didn't like trout fishing before I went to Montana. I didn't know how to trout fish. So it was happenstance, and quite frankly, a lot of just good fortune and letting things happen. But I was transitioning back from having worked and lived abroad for a year in India, and
oh, that's right.
traveled a bit
Okay.
after that. And I was coming back to the US. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place to go, a thing to do. Quite frankly, I was working at Home Depot. I was making in Casper, Wyoming, and I was making like, I don't know, $8, $9 an hour, something like that at Home Depot. Just trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, and trying to figure out how to transition back into the workforce. And I happened to meet someone online, and we really hit it off. And um, she owned a
She
business
loved
in
Home
Bozeman.
Depot. You worked at Home Depot. She
She
loved
didn't.
Orange on you. You loved
I,
Orange on you.
yeah, I look good in orange, and
Well,
to this day I look
that
good in
sounds
orange.
bad because a lot of prisons have orange jumpsuits. So looking good in orange might not be the best thing to say.
Well, if I need to make a career change, Jeff,
That's
I've
true.
got
That's
options.
true.
I've got
That's true.
options.
We've all watched Sopranos, so I mean, we could always make that career change.
So basically, I didn't really have a. I mean, I had an hourly job that I wasn't. I was looking around trying to figure out what I wanted to do. She owned a business in Montana, and I thought, well, Bozeman, Montana is as good a place as any. And quite frankly, for a long time, I wanted to live in the Rocky Mountain West. I just didn't know how to live and work there. I didn't
Right.
know how to get a job. I'd been trying to get jobs in places like Boulder, Colorado, and different places in the Rocky Mountain West. In these small mountain towns at the time, it's maybe a little different with the pandemic. They were hard to find professional work,
Sure.
and so I just moved there on blind faith, and worked at Home Depot for 9 months in Bozeman, and got, quite frankly, an entry level or maybe slightly above entry level job at Oracle, the software company, and on my 1 year anniversary, got laid off from Oracle. But that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because that led me to my next job at Oracle. It wasn't that they didn't want me, they just didn't have room for me at the time. And I
Gotcha.
took another job at Oracle, which I turned into a customer experience job. And so it's just all these sets of random circumstances that led me to where I am today.
Well, and honestly, just not allowing the system or society or companies define where your start and stop was going to be. Like
Yeah.
literally just like going out there, like you made the choice to go to Home Depot and continue with a work ethic. It didn't matter what you were getting paid. You know, you're talking about
I
just
learned
keep
a
your
lot
head
at
down
home,
and go through
though.
the grind.
I mean, everyone should take some time out of their career and go work an hourly job like mid-career. It was awesome. It was,
Totally.
first of all, it was great not having responsibility. Like, my responsibility was very little, but also I learned a ton that I applied to business today from my job at Home Depot. It was a great experience.
I have a woman that works for me, has worked for me with me for gosh 7-8 years, and she is amazing, tops at her game and her craft and her skill sets, amazing at what she does, high level business. She's always wanted to waitress, and she never did. She literally just recently, a month and a half ago, got a waitressing job just because she didn't want to go through life not waitressing for whatever reason. So she waitresses part-time at this, local restaurant that just opened up in Lake Geneva, and she loves it. And it's just one of those things where I love texting her and say, "Hey, how are the tips?" It's like just wondering how that's going. And she's like, "Not great, but last week was awesome," and all this kind of stuff. And this energy of her kind of letting herself be whatever she wants to be. and doing something about it is a big statement. And I think it's great advice. Now, you don't have to stop something to go get an hourly job. You can add it into your life part-time and do it at nights, one night a week or over a weekend, just to get a feel and go do something that you've always thought you wanted to do. But it's not, you're not too far in your life that you can't go back and do those things.
No, that's been one of one of my great life lessons. I mean, I have fallen down, I've tripped, I've been on the most circuitous journey ever, but it's been fun, and I've learned every step of the way.
What the hell is customer experience?
Well,
Because I've been following you, and long before, like I said, it was an on-trend thing, you were driving customer experience. I mean, you were speaking at events as an expert on the topic long before it was as big as it is right now. It's a big deal right now. So what is it, and what are you doing right now for your company?
so I could speak on this topic for
I know.
hours.
Don't, but hit me the highlights.
So I'll put it okay. I'll put it really simply. So most businesses, most businesses, when push comes to shove, when they're making difficult decisions, you've got on this side what's best for the business, like what they think is best for them, and over here you've got what's best for your customers. And most businesses default to what's convenient and easy for them, maybe what's financially the cheapest, whatever
Bottom
it is.
line profitability.
Exactly. And the customers over here, every time you make that decision over here, it hurts the customers over here, whether you know it or not. And ultimately, quite frankly, in my opinion, it's probably not the cheapest, most efficient use of your money. But what customer experience is to me at a very, very high level is finding that intersection of where what's right for the business is the same thing that's right for the customer. And that oftentimes takes harder work, more creativity, takes sucking it up, maybe even spending some money. But fundamentally, each and every one of us make lots and lots of decisions that impact the business, impact our customers every single day. And I can tell you, most every business would benefit, actually every business would benefit if you had every single employee, as they're making all those decisions, both big and minute decisions, if they stopped for 1 second and just reflected and said, is this the best thing for the customer? It would make all the difference in the world in terms of the customer's perception, how you treat your customers, how you go to market, things of that nature. But the long-term answer, like the big answer, that's the simple high-level answer, is if we stopped and did that every single day, we would be better off organizationally. But the big answer is customer experience management. Well, let's say the customer experience is any way in which your customer could interact with you from the first time they become aware of you all the way through whatever their journey looks like with you. And it might be becoming a customer, it might not be becoming a customer, it might be like looking at your website, it might be having a conversation at dinner. But all those different experiences, or in my world, what we call touch points, all those come together to culminate into their perception of you. And that perception of you is their experience with you. And ultimately, that's their customer experience, is all those in culmination, all those different experiences. And ultimately, if you're making those experiences great, the customer is going to feel good. They're going to walk away. But that's the very simple answer. I mean, there's a massive operational science behind it.
That is okay. So I don't know why the hell I got goosebumps from when you just kind of talked about it, because I think really where that hit me, and where I think it should hit everybody, is customer experience doesn't just have to be about business. It can be about your personal life and how you treat others, and how you put yourself out there. Not just at the grocery store, not just at your company in that day, but how you are in line at the grocery store, and how you are to the next person in line. If you've got a cart full of stuff and they've got two things, are you going to move out of the way and just let them go in front? So many things in our personal life affect how people look at us as individuals.
Exactly, 100%.
And it's the same thing. So I love how you explained it. It clicked, it resonated, it made perfect sense to me, and I hope it made perfect sense to everybody. And I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today, because honestly, now that I just heard you say that, this was actually an intersection for me of realizing some things, not just about our friendship and how we've grown into it, is why we grew into it, where it's going from here, but also I've thought a lot about things that I thought about, and now I'm thinking about them differently. And I appreciate that from you. And I always get that type of feeling and that type of insight and vibe from you. So thanks for being part of this podcast. Well worth the 17 tries to get here.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And like you said, like this is just the next step in the evolution of our friendship and our relationship. But that last point you hit on is key, Jeff. We all have a personal brand, and everyone with whom we interact are our customers. And you have the choice to make, to treat your customers well or treat them poorly. And ultimately, it's the culmination of all their different experiences with you that reflect on how they perceive you.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I perceive you at the highest level, my friend, and I appreciate it. And we're gonna stay in touch because, hell, I mean that's the way life's rolling right now. This is a good thing. So thanks for being part of the podcast. This was Fueling the Tank. I hope everybody got a good listen out of this, because there's some unbelievable points that are just life lessons to be thought about and cared about. So Eddie Hobart, appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Really appreciate you having me here.